As the sun rises, so do we. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the SunRising podcast. My name is Colin.
My name is Jackson.
And in this podcast, we will be talking a little bit about ourselves, who we are as a person, why you might care about our podcast. We'll talk a little bit about what you might expect from this podcast, why we created it, and later on, we will be talking about how in this podcast we are interested in doing both a podcast and a gaming channel. To switch in between those two, our later segment will be about our top 5 favorite games that we've ever played. And that'll kind of go along with how when the sun rises, we're going to be releasing a podcast, and when the sun sets, we'll be playing games, and we'll talk more about that in our podcast. So the first thing is, well, talk about ourselves. So,
Well,
you wanna?
so we're both sophomores at University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh.
Yeah.
Might as well just say that. Doesn't matter. I'm studying mathematics here. With that, I plan on being an actuary. I like math, so that's why I did it. It just seemed natural for me to do that.
Yeah. I am going for secondary education, so teaching. I will be coming out being able to teach middle schoolers and high schoolers, and then you kind of want a major/minor thing for that, so I would be looking into broad field social sciences, which is a big term, and if I were to say my actual thing, it's really freaking long and complicated, but pretty much it's a social studies teacher, so you can think like your history, your geography, political science, sociology, psychology, economics. All of those I'll be able to teach when I'm coming out of here, so lots of potential things.
Well, I find those classes fun.
Yeah, they are really fun. I do like them, obviously.
They're not. No, it's math.
Yeah,
Math is better.
I almost did math. I almost
Really?
chose math as one of my things to teach. It was one of the ones I thought about, definitely.
No,
I did enjoy algebra.
I couldn't be a math teacher. Can't do it. Just can't teach.
What are you planning on doing with your mathematics?
I'm going to be an actuary.
Actuary?
Yeah.
So do you want to, I kind of have a general idea, but in case they don't, you want to explain?
Okay, so being an actuary is, the short answer is I'm going to be working in probably some sort of insurance company, analyzing risk on whether to take new clients, basically. The shortest way to explain it is I'm going to look at numbers and tell you, one of the things I can do is tell you the likelihood of dying within the year, which is real scary. Well, that's fun.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty fun that you can do that.
The technology we have today, you are going to die at this time.
Yeah, like, if you're more, I remember looking at the table one time because it's just an interesting thing to do sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is cool, right? And you're more likely to die at the age of, 3 than you are at the age of, 45.
That is actually I think I have heard that stat. That's a really cool thing.
Oh.
I think I learned about it during my one of my education classes I had to take was in early childhood. So they explored the whole. It was literally early childhood, so it was very elementary school based, which was kind of weird that they make the secondary education people take it as well. But it did talk about a lot of the different names that are out there that created a lot of the big theories in the education field. And they talked a little bit about that with how it's way more likely for them to die, which is a really cool fact and kind of scary if you really think about it.
Yeah, it makes sense though. If you live past if you live past 18 or 21, one of those two, your likelihood of living at a normal adult average lifespan is a lot longer than if you don't. Obviously because you died, but it's just exponential.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What else can we talk about? At University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, we are both athletes, so that's kind of cool. Jackson, definitely more than me. I'm a student athlete, kind of. I am part of the UW Oshkosh Men's Lacrosse Club, whereas you're actually part of a NCAA.
Yeah. I'm in track and field. I'm a shot putter. I do the other events. I do hammer, weight, and disc, but I also did javelin once. That was fun.
That is pretty legit. I'd always want to try it. I was in track in high school, which we'll talk about in a little bit about high school things that we did. I was a pole vaulter, but one of the things I always thought about was javelin would be pretty freaking cool to do, but...
you see me reach at my elbow, it's because that really hurts your elbow.
Yeah.
Because it's just a snap.
Oh.
Like, it really hurts to do. But if you can do it properly, it doesn't hurt too bad. I just can't,
Yeah.
obviously.
We also did theater, both of us,
Yeah.
in high school, so that was a thing. I was part of in my high school. I was part of the shows all 4 years. The fall semesters, I would always do the musicals for my first 2 years. I did it all 4 years, but for the first two, I just did the fall show because in the spring I focused on track only. But then I started to realize I can do both. So junior and senior year, I would do the spring show as well. So I had a lot of time where I was doing both uh, theater and track at the same time. There was an overlap. And I also did forensics, so that was in between like winter spring areas. There was a time frame where in school, in high school, in junior and senior year, I was doing track, theater, and forensics all at the same time, and that's when that got a little rough. But yeah.
So what is forensics? Because
So yeah, you
Like,
hear forensics, you
yeah.
think like police science. It's not quite that. It's kind of like competitive speaking in a
Mhm.
way. How it works is there's a bunch of different categories, and you go in, and pretty much the first time you ever go to a practice, there are practices. It's like any sport kind of thing. But you go in and you sit down with the coach, and they talk to you about uh, what you might be expecting. They go over some of the categories, some of the different ones. It could be like radio speaking. They'll go over these with you and they'll talk about what they are. So, for instance, like radio speaking, that's one I did my junior year because I only did forensics junior and senior year because I wanted to spend more time with our director that was leaving junior year. And then after I did it junior year, I loved it, so I stayed with it senior year. So for radio speaking, it's like 30 minutes before you go on, you get a huge packet, like 5, 6 pages of information, like a newscast. It'll give you a bunch of weather stuff. It'll give you a bunch of news clippings, sports clippings. And your objective is that 30 minutes before you go on to present, you have to go through that packet of info, highlight a bunch of stuff, figure out your speech. You put it all together, and it's an impromptu 5-minute presentation when you're up there in front of the judge. So you have to, in that 30 minutes, figure out what you're going to say, highlight the clippings that you want to go over, put them together, and then practice going through it so that it falls within that 5-minute mark. And that's all 30 minutes before you go on. That's one of the more impromptu ones. Speaking of impromptu, that's another category as well. That's literally, you go up, it's impromptu. So they can give you an image, they can give you a saying, they can give you a whole like phrase. You have to read through it. You get to pick out 3, choose one that you want to do. As soon as you make your picking, your time starts, and it's 5 minutes in total to come up with a speech and present it. So usually what the judges are looking for is like 1 minute to prepare and then 3 minutes to speak, or 4 minutes to speak, or 2 minutes to prepare, 3 minutes to speak, somewhere in there. They just have to use their time.
So like, I went to high school. I went to a small high school in Illinois. The IHSA, our sports governing body, has a similar thing. We just call it speech. It's very similar. We don't have a lot of categories. There's like best comedy. Like there's
Yeah,
we
talked about that, and they overlapped a little bit. Like some of the things, like we have solo humorist, so it's like your best comedy, but ours is just a different name.
Yeah. Funny enough, I had a cousin who he went to a larger school that did speech more often, like very seriously, and he actually won. He was a state champion.
Awesome.
He was a state champion in solo comedy.
I
don't know the actual name for what he won, but it was solo original comedy. So he wrote.
So nice. That's awesome.
He's actually a comedian now.
Yeah. The more you know. That's pretty legit.
So yeah, pretty cool.
I did too go to state for forensics, and that was pretty cool. My junior year, how a round works in regular competition is there's 3 rounds, and then if you do good enough in those 3 rounds, if you get like first place or second place in those group of like 5 students, 6 students that are in that classroom at the time, you get the best for like all 3 rounds, or like 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. Depends on the competition in the round. For me, I also did pros. Pros was one of my big ones. I switched from radio announcing to pros. So when I was doing pros, that's like a 8-minute speech where you get a binder and the story's in the binder. So you read from the binder, keeping eye contact with the judges. You have to stay in one place, so you kind of act it out in one place. Then you can also use the binder to use like binder tech. Like you make it into like a slamming sound if you want to emphasize something. You can make it into like a phone. You can make it into a gun. Like so, whatever you do, you can use the binder for it. And I actually went to state and got 5th place in that overall, and that's a huge category where like 200 some people are in it if you go to state. So that was really cool. And then my junior year, I went to state for pros as well, and it's slightly different where there's the 3 rounds and then the final, but the final becomes a semifinal, and then you have to do a final again. So I did that senior year where I went all the way through 3 rounds, semifinal, final, and then was able to get into that final round where I then placed 5th. And then the junior year, I did the pros again, and I went through the 3 preliminary rounds, and then I semifinal, but then quite final. So I got a medal for semifinaling, but then so semifinal, and then junior year, and then final senior year. So both years I went to state, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Back to theater, because that's where we kind of started.
Yeah.
I didn't do our normal plays, so our normal plays were in the spring. That was when track was for me, and I thought doing track was just a little bit more important than doing the normal plays, because I didn't like just the acting part. I liked the singing part of like musicals.
That
so
was
like
fun too, yeah.
The singing dancing part's kind of the part I enjoyed. So like it just made more sense if I just didn't do them. So I would always do our fall musicals like you did, and like they were quite interesting, and overall it was pretty good. Like what shows did you do?
I did freshman year. We did Addams Family, so that was a really fun one. I was an ancestor, so kind of like one of those ensemble backstage actors kind of thing. Sophomore year we did Cinderella, and that was fun. I was one of the big featured dancers because they really loved me because they can say for me to do something, and my build, I was in wrestling too, like freshman sophomore year, so I was like in pretty good shape. I was able to like do tumbles and fall and do fun things. I also had in elementary school, 5th grade, it was required for us to do ballroom dancing. It was just one of those things that our school did. But then 6th grade, I was in a 5th-6th split. So I had 2 years of ballroom dance experience that came in handy. So when we went to Cinderella, and that's the big thing, is like, the ball, she loses her slipper there, and she gets it back, and their true love. So I was in that ballroom scene, and I was one of the featured ballroom dancers because I came in and I was able to do all the lifts and twirls with the girls because I already was doing some of that in elementary school. I learned the basics, so I was able to pick up on that fast. So I did ballroom dancing, and I was one of the featured ones, so I was throwing the girls up in the air and all that stuff. And then I was also part of the ensemble area too in that show. Junior, senior year, I was looking at, we did Sister Act, which is a fun one. It's not as common. There's a movie out of it, though, so if you're interested, you can look at the movie. It's about this girl who is dating this guy who ends up being in the mafia, and she finds out, and she tries to flee, but the guy sends his henchmen after him. And I was one of the main 3 henchmen. I get murdered in that show. I just straight up, they shoot me because they expect me to be a spy. So I had to fall down. That's one of the common things I had in theater. Was every single show I died. Because Ancestor, I died. Cinderella, in the beginning, I was a knight that gets killed by the giant that we had. It was like a giant tree giant thing, and I get killed by that thing. Junior year, I'm Sister Act. I get straight up murdered. We also did. You didn't say it was haunted, or sorry. Wrong, that's senior year. The spring show for junior year, we did A Piece of My Heart, which is probably my favorite musical of all time, play of all time. It was about the Vietnam War era, so obviously there was a lot of death in that one. I got killed multiple times. That one also was the suckiest fall I ever had to do. I had to do a tumble in the first scene of the 2nd act. It starts out with me, I was like a heroin addict that came back from the war. So my costume was all disheveled and stuff, and I had like a bandana on. And how our stage was set up was there were stairs going up, and then it branched, and then it went up again. So it's like a big loop. And I started at the very top. and I come out like I'm walking to get on the airline, and as they're talking, they're saying this line of the main character is going to this Air Force airline when she sees a guy fall and bang his head, and that's me. So I just have to take a step and just eat it down three flights of stairs, just tumble down, pretend to hit my head. A couple of times I literally did just bang my head on the steps. That sucked a lot. I almost broke my arm in one of the shows. But yeah, and then it's the whole like she has to show that she's a soldier, and people in that era were very against the war, and they tended to take their anger out on like war people. So people were always protesting that war, and big part of that scene was like, hey LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? That kind of thing. It's really dark, like that whole time frame. So yeah, then the last show I did was senior year. We did Catch Me If You Can, which is a really fun one. And then you didn't say it was fun,
My shows, my freshman year, we did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, which was really fun. I was a principal. I was JB Bigley. That was fun. I got the part because I was the only one that could sing bass, like a bass line. It worked out great. And they needed guys. So it was like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. And then that went okay. Sophomore year, we did Suzuki the Musical.
And that's a fun one.
I was also a principal. I was Horton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. That was real fun. I really loved playing into Horton because I'm a large human being, so like it was fun to like play into the character of holding this small thing,
yeah,
because on the clover, because it was because it was just like, yep, this feels normal, because to me normal things are small. Like I have quite large hands. Like my phone doesn't, like I can hold my phone in one hand like with ease. It's no problem to me. So like it felt natural to do something like that. Junior year, we did Adam's Family. So I also did Adam's Family. I was a principal in that. I was a lesser principal. I wasn't.
You had a lot of principal roles.
Yeah, I went to a small. Hey, I went to a small school. We didn't have much choice. But I was Malbeinecke, so like I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
So like I was a principal, but I wasn't like important per se. And then senior year we did The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I wasn't a principal in that one. Mainly because I couldn't. Yeah. hey, I couldn't fit the voice register that they needed to play any of the characters. So it's like, okay, yeah, we just do what we got to do.
Here's a little bit more about us, and then we can get into the meat of the podcast. Is done a lot of other stuff too. Like we all have our big things that we've done in our lives. We can spend many podcasts talking about those, but we'll kind of breeze through. If something does sound interesting, though, feel free to leave a message at the end of the video, and we'll talk about some of the ways you can get a hold of us. So if you want us to talk more about any of the stuff we've talked about or going to talk about today, just let us know. I also was in high school. I talked about track. I did wrestling freshman and sophomore year. I did theater. I also did broomball. That was fun. I spent a lot of time where my oldest brother, when he was out of school, he was working. He works at a Plexus, and then his Plexus put together and was in part of a big broomball league. And you have to be 18. So I was, they kind of did sneak me in when I was 17 to play and sub, and that was fun. I obviously laid back a little bit because I wasn't quite the age requirement, so I didn't play as much. But then when senior year hit and I was 18, senior year and then the year after, I still was able to play a little bit. I went in and I was playing a lot of broomball, and that's just fun. If you don't know what that is, it's like hockey, but instead of skates, you're wearing shoes that are like anti-slip, so you don't slip as bad as on the ice. Then instead of the like curved hockey puck, it's like a wooden shaft or titanium, whatever you want to do. You can get it's like a stick. It's anything you want to get. And then on the end, it's like a rubber triangle kind of thing. And then you use that, and then instead of a puck, it's a ball, like a small kind of kid-sized soccer ball. It's kind of what it looks like, and then you shoot into a goal. Everything else is played exactly like hockey. There's the center line. You shoot into the goals. There's goalies. Same kind of positioning and players as hockey, but just slightly different. And that was really fun. That was pretty much everything I did. I'm from Wisconsin, so go Pack go. I mean,
yeah.
We got an Illinois person over here.
Hey, it's okay. I don't like the Bears.
That is good. I do approve of your team choice, though.
Yeah, I like the Raiders. So,
Yeah.
and they're bad, so everyone likes my team choice.
It's not bad. I do love their stadium. They have a cool stadium, and they shoot off the It's a baseball field, yes, but like the cannon shooting, and it's like a ship. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a baseball field. They're moving to L.A. No,
Yeah,
L.A. Las Vegas.
Yeah,
so
Las Vegas.
It's pretty good. I might go to a game now.
Yeah.
Oakland's kind of scary. Just a little bit sometimes. Yeah, that's just yeah.
At Oshkosh, I'm also a CA, which is a community advisor. And if you don't know that, and it sounds really weird because that's just how Oshkosh is, you can think RA, resident assistant. For pretty much every other school has it as RA, but Oshkosh is special and calls them CAs. So there's a lot of fun stories with that. But I'll let you talk a little bit more about yourself before we get into some of that stuff.
Okay. As you know, I'm from Illinois. I'm from a small little town right near Peoria, Illinois, which is in the center. My high school had less people than our dorm has. Than our dorm has people. There are more people in this dorm than my high school had students. Like it was, but I was kind of forced to do everything because there were so little kids. So like I had to do basketball. I didn't do baseball because track was during that time, but I did a sport basically every season I could. My high school didn't have football, so I didn't play that, thankfully.
Yeah.
I didn't. Just sometimes injuries are kind of scary in that sport. Along with me being in track, I recently had a track meet. There was a track meet yesterday. It ended up really good for us. It was a small track meet, so we had there was only one other team, Lawrence University. They were there, and then some Oshkosh alum were there also. And at that meet, all of my teammates did pretty well, really. Like some people had PRs. I had a PR.
Yeah, I was there, and he's being kind of
laid
back here. He did really good. I was able to make that meet.
That's fair.
You can brag. Tell him.
Yeah, but it's fun. I threw 1720 meters. So anyone in freedom units, that's 56 feet 5 1/4 inches. So that's a 16-pound ball going 56 feet. I think that's pretty cool. So in Division 3 right now, while it being early, that ranks me second in Division 3 for shot put.
In what? Second in what?
Oh, in the nation, yeah.
Yeah, second overall in the nation. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's Division 3, so obviously Division 1 has their own rankings, Division 2, and then we're a D3 school. So, but that is still really good. How does that compare, do you know, to the Division 2 and 1?
In Division 2, that puts me around 10th, 11th.
Okay.
And then in Division 1, that doesn't put me even on the leaderboard.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's Division 1 schools. Who needs those?
I'm only a sophomore, and I'll get there eventually. So it'll be fun.
I have some fun stories about CA, but we might want to leave it because we haven't really talked quite what we want to do with this channel. And if you're still listening and you're enjoying it, you might want to know a little bit more about us. So we might come back to it, or we might leave it for another episode. But we are interested in introducing you to what the channel is going to be about first. We want to get that out of the way so that you don't have to sit through a big spiel of us talking still, and you can listen to a little bit about that. We can add it in, and then we can go on to talking about some more fun stuff as well. Because I did realize that we started talking, and we have gone on a little bit of a rant, but that's okay. That's what this is probably going to end up being. But this is an introductory to the channel. So we did create this podcast. How it worked was I have been around YouTube a lot. I have a channel. I started out with YouTube since like middle school is when I started watching. Then in high school, some of my friends and I decided to just make a channel for the lulz, and we created just random videos that we made fun. It's called Creepy Creepies if you want to look it up, but it's still out there. But it was just us creating videos and like a video maker where it was just simple. Like you can add in sounds and images, so it would just be like a scene, and then we put in sound. And it was just like weird things that we just kind of liked editing stuff and putting stuff together. So we started creating it, and then from there, around my junior year of high school, I decided to create my own channel. Just because I was having fun and I wanted to explore this, and I was like their editor that was putting together all their thumbnails and editing some of their videos, and I was really loving it. So I was like, hey, let's give it a try. So I created a channel for myself, and that's been going on for a while now. And if you want to check it out, Crazed Eagle 3. But it is it's a little bit about just kind of gaming and whatnot. Did a little bit of lacrosse in it, but that's been fun. And then I also really got into podcasts after my brother and his friend group decided to put together a podcast that's also a YouTube channel if you want to check them out. They stopped doing podcasts, but they're thinking about getting back into it. But their channel is Zaru Bust. But we can put all these in the description if you want to check these channels out. But I got in on that. I wasn't one of the like big producers, but I was one of their editors. I was a behind-the-scenes person who sat in on the podcast. I helped send in notes while they were doing their podcast, talking about like, hey, this is actually going really well. Stick with it. You guys are being real hilarious right now. Sometimes they start rambling, so I messaged that. If they asked me to, like, we're talking and said, oh, we should look that up, like, I'd hear that and I'd instantly pull up. And then I make, like, timestamps of when stuff is really good, and I'd put together some short clips for them so that if people didn't want to watch an hour-long video, I'd put some stuff. And then I'd joke around, too. I'd have some fun with it. So there'd be times where I'd hit record on my laptop screen before anything started, when they were just bantering about, talking, figuring out what they want to do for the episode, and then I put them into fun clips. And I like that. It was really fun being a podcast, and that's what first introduced me to podcasts in general. I never really heard about it until then. And then we obviously went to school.
Yeah.
We've been friends since last year, and I brought this idea up. I've been doing the Crazy Eagle 3 channel for a while, and I thought about making a new channel. It popped into me a couple days ago, and I was like, you know, it would be really fun to do a podcast. And honestly, well, I didn't say podcast, but I thought YouTube channel. I wanted to do something because I love when channels do banter back and forth between two people. And I wanted to give it a try, and I thought it would be really fun. And who else to do it than with you? We've been together. Last year we talked a lot. This year it's been a little bit different because our schedules didn't quite line up. We've been having a lot of meals together, but we really haven't talked to each other. So it's a way for us to stay connected, do things together. And you had the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I do podcasts.
Yeah, I mean,
with podcasts, I've been around them for a while. Like, I started watching podcasts probably. I would watch. So I would watch Twitch streams that would be like people. I'm a nerd, but it'd be people playing D&D, and like they turn that into a podcast.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
And like, so like they'd do that, and then they'd have it a podcast. Like, so I would watch that, and it would be very interesting. So like I started doing that, and then I started watching more podcasts, and then eventually I got, not eventually, but like I started listening to Joe Rogan, and I was like, yeah, podcasting's pretty cool. After that, and then so yeah.
Yeah, I came up to him. I was like, "Hey, you want to go on a YouTube channel with me?" And then you said yeah, and we were trying to think of an idea, and we thought about. I have done a lot of the gaming side of things. I've done some gaming on my channel, and it's just something I enjoy doing, and it's something that does pretty well on YouTube too. So if it's something we enjoy and something you enjoy, why not have it? And then we also had the idea of the podcast because you had that idea. You said you were interested. That's something you've always wanted to do is a podcast. And I thought that was cool because I had the experience with podcasting as well. So that is going to be our channel. We are SunRising. So our idea is pretty much that when the sun is rising, so around,
I think today was 6:34 a.m., but I could be wrong. Somewhere around there.
It's like 7:30-ish is kind of like in Central Time.
Yeah.
7:30 is sunrise. 5:30 is sunset. That might be our time. I'm not going to give us a solid that's going to be our time quite yet. That was today's. But we'll probably go around there. So we'll figure out a finalized time, but it'll be somewhere around 7:30 is going to be when the podcast is put out daily. And then that sunset, we thought, hey, sunrise, sunset, that's kind of cool. We want to be a little bit different though. We kind of want to change it up. So we're thinking dusk watch is a really cool name. So when the sun is rising, you can rise with us because as the sun rises, so do we. That was our tagline at the beginning. So you can wake up early in the morning, or whenever you have to go to work or go to school or travel, you can put on our podcast. And we're aiming for them to be around an hour-ish. But again, don't worry if you don't have time for an hour-long podcast, because after we release the podcast, our plan is that we will put together a short, like 15-minute-ish video. So we know hour-longs, that can be a lot of time commitment. You might not be able to do it. So instead of only doing the hour, we're also thinking about doing a 15-ish minute thing after. So if you have time for an hour, you can watch the full thing. If you only have time for the 15 minutes, you can watch that and then go back to the hour-long later if that was interesting to you. And then as you're watching the dusk settle in, dusk watch, you can watch us play some games. So this will be a podcasting and gaming channel. That is the general idea that we are going to go with. And speaking of gaming, that leads us into our final segment / topic for the day. It's the morning. I almost said evening because we're kind of recording in the afternoon, evening time frame, but you are getting it in the morning. We are going to be uploading this on Wednesday of this week. So today is Sunday when we're recording. So it will be up this week on Wednesday or today because that's when you're watching it. And so you can expect then the 15-minute to come out after this, and then that later that night we'll put it in the description of the time frame we're thinking for the game video. Later then, when the sun is setting, you can come watch us play some games. We haven't quite decided. You think Minecraft probably?
Probably Minecraft.
We'll probably do Minecraft for our first
it's
game.
Easy. It's easy for us to record. And it's something
we both love it,
we
and
both know how to play,
a lot
really.
of YouTube loves it too. So yeah, you can expect this Wednesday or today. You have the podcast right now, and then later on when the sun's setting around that 5:30, 7:30 kind of PM time that we talked about. I forgot when it was. Whenever sun sets, we're gonna get the finalized time. Leave it in the description. That's when we're gonna release our gaming video. So podcast in the morning, gaming at night. And for this week, it'll probably be Wednesday only, just because we need to finalize some things. But then our future plan is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mm-hmm. So 3 times a week where you can come, watch the podcast, and then watch the gaming video. So we're with you from sunrise to watching the dust settle, sunrise to sunset. So that is our idea. Segueing on.
Yeah. Great segue.
Yes.
Great segue. Yeah. No, but in actuality, one of your top 5 favorite games of all time.
Yes, we are going to be doing games. So, for me, I was thinking this through. I think coming in at number 5 for me would probably be Guitar Hero 3, the PlayStation 2. Long time ago, well, not a long time ago, when I was a young little lad, I was introduced to the gaming side of things. I have 2 older brothers, one 5 years apart and one 7 years apart. So obviously they were older, they were playing games, which mean when I was like 7, they were all like 14 and 12. That's the words I'm looking for. They were all playing those games, especially my oldest brother who was getting to those teen years. And they introduced me to games. And one of the things we got when we were pretty young was a PlayStation 2. And that was my oldest brother's idea. He went to a summer camp that we work at. That will be a different time. I also work at that summer camp. That will be a different podcast. But there he played pretty much Guitar Hero for the entire time. And then he'd come home on the days when they have break, and he started to show it to me. Well, he didn't really show it to me because, there's that 7-year difference. He was a little older. Sometimes it was more of like he didn't quite want to be around. He was a really good brother. Really good brother. Both of them are. But they would play games. I'd see them playing it. I get really interested, and soon I started playing with them. and I played a lot of that game. I still play it today. Sometimes when I go home on the weekends. I think last break I actually played some of it. It's one of my all-time favorites. I love just strumming down and going through. I was hard difficulty is what I got. I did expert a little bit, but then I took a big break where I got back and I had to start back from like medium. Right now I'd say I'm about a hard difficulty, slowly getting there. Some songs I could do expert, some I'm pretty hard. I'm still at hard, but that would probably be my number 5. How about you?
My number 5 is I'm cheating here, but the Call of Duty series.
Yeah.
They're not the same, but they're the same.
Yeah, honestly.
Please tell me different. But anyways, if I have to pick one in there, it'll probably be Call of Duty Black Ops 2. That came out right around when I first got my Xbox 360, which, it's a little later, in like 2012, I think is when that game came out.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But I played that game to its extent. Like, I was the first one of my friends to master Prestige, and like everyone I knew, which isn't a lot of people because of my school size, but everyone I knew was playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and it was my goal to master Prestige first, and I did it.
It's awesome.
And that was fun. If I look, I still have the game, and I still have my 360, so I have to check. But I'm closing in on 1,500 hours.
Dang.
Not 1,500. That would be crazy.
That's a lot.
Sorry. It would be around 15 days.
Okay.
So 15 full days. So that'd be 24
Yeah.
times 15. Which is still quite a lot.
Lots of math.
That's
You're the math major.
Yeah, that's a lot of days. It's 48.
Lots of hours.
It's
Lots of hours. Yeah, one that didn't make my list, but was definitely a huge one in my life was another one that my oldest brother and my other brother introduced me to was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That was one of my big ones. I loved going in, playing the bots multiplayer, going in, shooting around, seeing how many rounds I could get. That was definitely one of my favorite games, but I just think the 5 I have on this list are slightly better. So I'd say maybe MW3 is probably number 6, but for me, my number 4 choice going in would probably have to be Rocket League. It's a pretty common one. A lot of people know it. If you don't, it's cars that have rocket jets, and it's played like soccer. So you're rocket cars shooting soccer goals. And it's really fun. It's really simple. There's lots of game modes to it, but I was introduced to it a couple of years ago. I liked it. I wasn't super into it until last year. My freshman year is when I really started to get into it. And that is because my roommate played it a lot, and I had the game too, so I started playing a lot. But then my happened to be CA or RA, since you guys know that better. I'll probably refer to it as RA from now on. My RA played it a ton. It was actually our RA because we were in the same hall.
Yeah.
But our RA played it a lot, and when he found out, like, obviously he wants to be with his hall floor members, wants to make connections, so I think I actually reached out to him because one of the things is I really, really wanted to be an Oshkosh RA. So I talked to him and I wanted to get involved. So I made sure and I made it a point to be active at events and do things so that it would look good when I go apply for the RA position. And when I talked to him and I found out he liked Rocket League, him and I started playing a ton. And we spent many hours. Like whenever we didn't have class and we had a break, both him and I would be playing Rocket League. And I think I was Diamond 3 at the one, like the season ended, so you start over, but I think I was Diamond 3, which is like it goes like, sorry, Plat, not Diamond, because it goes Plat, Diamond, and then it goes into Champion, so Plat 3, and he was like a Diamond 4, so he was pretty close to like the Grand Champion era, which is really freaking good. I wasn't close to his level. He played it way more and was way more skilled, but I just kind of went with it. But that is definitely one of my favorites. I spent a lot of time. It was cool to make the connections, so that would probably be my number 4.
I played Rocket League a little bit. That's not my number 4, but
yeah.
I enjoyed Rocket League. I play on PC, and I don't like using controllers, so it just didn't line up with my playstyle. Yeah. But my number 4 is DayZ. Yeah. So originally DayZ was an Arma 2 mod, but then they made a standalone game. This is like it's weird to have Daisy on this list because Daisy is not a great game now. Like it's fine. Like if you're not on the official servers, it's okay. But the official servers are not the greatest at the moment, and I don't know if they're going to get any better. But the thing is I just have very fond memories of playing Daisy. Uh, when it first came out, it was to me, it's very nostalgic. It's one of my first games I played on PC, and it was just a game that it was very challenging while also rewarding the feeling because there were times when, say, I had to go away from my computer while I was playing, and my friends had a pair of handcuffs. They'd handcuff me and make me do whatever they wanted me to do. Like it was very just it was a rewarding game to just play because you could do things like that while also still having fun. Because like I could break out of the handcuffs if I tried,
Yeah.
like, but they could kill me. So like yeah,
Was it like they literally like handcuffed you while you were playing, like you or like your character?
like my character.
Okay, yeah.
No.
I'm just like you getting handcuffed to your desk. I'm just seeing it. You're staying and you're playing with us. That's pretty funny. For my number 3, it's kind of a mix. So like Star Wars Battlefront, and now I was first introduced to Star Wars Battlefront as in Star Wars Battlefront 2 that was released on like the PlayStation 2 era. That was a really fun one, and I was introduced to that by my not the same oldest brother that I've been talking to, but my other one. He really liked Star Wars. He played a lot of it, and he introduced me to that game. And I started playing a bunch of matchmaking maps with him on the PlayStation 2, and that was a fun one. So then when the Xbox One came around, I was playing the Xbox One a lot. I got one, and then the new remastered like Star Wars, the Battlefront is what it's called, made by Star Wars. So it's Star Wars Battlefront, but the remastered version is just Battlefront. I played that a lot, and then I love playing again like the ranked like matches where you go in and you try to survive as long as you can, survive as many waves. That was fun. I'd go on multiplayer and play around with that, and then I messed around with the Battlefront 2 for the Xbox One as well, and that's also a really fun one. So that Star Wars Battlefront series in general, all the way from like the very first Battlefront for the PlayStation 2, all the way through. I think they made 3 for the PlayStation 2, and then they came in with the 2 for the Xbox One. I played all of them. They were all really fun. I love the Star Wars trilogy. Well, all trilogies, so the whole series, and the new one's out now, so I saw that. They're all really amazing. I like Star Wars, and it was just a super fun series to play that helped me connect and have fun with my brothers and make new friends. I've met a couple of new people that I have friends on my Xbox now from that game, so it was just a general fun environment to be playing, and I liked the mythology behind the series, so it just kept me entertained.
My number 3 is very different from Star Wars. It is Rust.
Oh.
Rust is a PC game. It's very similar to DayZ in that it's a survival game. Granted, there's no zombies now in Rust, but it's more player versus player. But it was a very fun game for me. I have it really high on this list because of one incident alone. We were raiding a base back this was back when I had a computer that was like a laptop that cost me like $300, and it could barely run the games that I wanted to play. But it ran the game, so I didn't care. But I was playing, and like I found a revolver with one bullet.
Oh.
I could shoot one bullet. We're raiding this base, and one of the guys logged on. And I was out collecting stone or something so we could get into so we could break into the base. And I'm in the game and I'm like, guys, I see him, he's coming. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they're just like, shoot him. I'm like, I have one bullet. What am I gonna do? So I go over and I'm like, okay, I can line this one up. Boom. Headshot. Drops him.
That is awesome.
And we were just like, did that just happen? Did we do it? And they're just like, oh my god, the server gets wiped in 24 hours, so that was kind of it was kind of useless, but we got him. So it was just one of those moments where you just can't not remember it. Like it's so good that you will remember it forever.
Yeah. I love stories like that where like you just have something fun connecting, and I think I definitely didn't play nearly as much as you with that game. I think I ordered it on Steam and I played a little bit of it, but it was a while ago, so it's been a while. It was one that interested me, but it was one that I just didn't have a lot of time during that thing because I think I was probably in high school then, so I had all that stuff going on that we talked about earlier. But that's one I do want to try to get back into, and that would be super fun. But for me, my number one video game of all time, it's an original. It's such a classic.
You skipped 2 here, bud.
That is correct. I definitely did. We are going to go to number 2, which is also, I could say exactly what I literally just said. It's a classic. It's one that's played so much. And it is one that will forever be probably has more hours than my number 1 in general. But I do think that my number 1 has a little bit more connections with me than this number 2. Won't keep you waiting any longer, but my number 2 choice would probably be Minecraft. It's the one we're going to be playing later today, and it'll come out. I played that for a long time. I got interested in it at around my middle school days, and I have no idea where our mouse is. Our script is scrolling, and it's like we have a magical ghost happening. So it's a little hard to read, but all right, we're back. So Minecraft is one that I've been playing since elementary-ish, middle school era. I was not the one in my family who found it. The credit definitely has to go to my oldest brother. I talked about him a little earlier. He's the same one who introduced me to my number 5 choice, Guitar Hero 3. But he found it, and he was playing since before the Nether in Minecraft was even in the game. And he brought it to me. I saw him play it when, it was always on his laptop when it was coming out the first time, and I was really intrigued. He let me play on his laptop a lot and see it, and then he did create like a server that our family was able to go on to, and we like our whole family, like the very first things I remember of Minecraft is just like making a house. My dad made a big blimp in the sky. My brother built a giant castle, and it was just really cool, and I loved it. So I've been playing Minecraft technically as well since before the Nether was even in the game, which is a really long time. And I just love the creativeness of it. It's just blocks, but you make a whole world out of it, and you can have to go creative where you can just mess around, build stuff, or the survival. I love survival games in general, of collecting resources to build what you want. So that game just has a lot of it. Probably is the most hours I've ever put into any game in my life. That's probably the one I've played for the most. I still play it to this day. So it has many, many, many hours, years upon years of hours, where I've been playing that game. And it just was a cool connection. It was one of the very first games that I was really introduced to. I think it was probably my first kind of console-ish based game. I obviously learned on the PC, but then I got it on my Xbox when I had an Xbox 360. And I've been playing it since all the updates started, and it's been so long. Like, it's one of the originals that I ever did, so it has a special place in my heart, and it's really popular. Everyone loves it. It's got, still to this day, it had another boom, which is pretty awesome. I'm glad that happened, where people are enjoying the game again. I know, like, Fortnite came out. I'm not the biggest Fortnite person. That took the spotlight for a long time, and it still is a good game. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not bashing Fortnite. It's a really fun game. I've played it before. It is a fun game. But I am glad that Minecraft came back and is sharing the spotlight again, and it's just such a good game should survive just being pushed to the side. And I know you reminded me of the whole Nether update that's coming out. I totally forgot.
Soon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I totally forgot about that, and I'm hyped to see that, because it's gonna change, and there's gonna be biomes in the Nether. I have no idea what that looks like. Like, it's gonna be crazy for me because I haven't even seen that. I've heard things about cave updates too. And
Yeah, I think that's also a thing that's going to be happening soon.
that would be awesome. But yeah, it's evolved so much since the beginning days when I played it already, and it's an oldie and a goodie.
Coincidentally, my number 2 is also Minecraft. It's one of those games that I grew up watching. I started watching it. It was actually probably my first YouTube video I've watched, like a series that someone put out was a series of Minecraft. So like it was just something I've enjoyed, and then just kept with it since I own the game. Like it, I've been through it, most of it. I just enjoy it. It's very relaxing. Sometimes you can just go in there and just kill some chickens if you want to.
Yeah.
You can just do it. It's fun.
Yeah. And then now we'll have our number 1 is what I was gonna say before, and totally skip number 2. But like I was saying, it is a classic. It's an original. It's been here for a while. That is Pokemon Yellow. And to go with Pokemon Yellow, I think I have to also put Pokemon Fire Red because I played both a lot. It's Pokemon Yellow, first ever Pokemon game that ever came out. Came out on the Game Boy Color, and I remember having that Game Boy Color. I got one, and I was able to mess around with it, use it. My brothers, they have the big impact of introducing me to games, where they introduced me to this one, and Pokemon Yellow was introduced to me by my oldest brother. Fire Red was introduced to me by my other one, my middle one. I'm the youngest, so I have an older and an oldest. So my oldest brother introduced me to Yellow. My older brother introduced me to Fire Red. And both of those I played a lot of. Like, it got me into Pokemon. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I will still be playing Pokemon Go, and I'm not ashamed of that. I know it's dead, but I still play it. I loved Pokemon in general. It's just such a fun thing. So I collected the cards all the time. I made decks. I still have Pokemon decks that I use today. It's one of my favorite games. I love the whole creativeness of it, and you can't go wrong with the classic. I have been playing it since the classics. The classics are still some of my favorite Pokemon games to ever be released, and that first whole generation of the. Now I'm gonna sound like a poor Pokemon person. I'm pretty sure it's 152. I'm not sure. That's probably wrong.
For the first.
Yeah, the
it's
first.
150. Are we counting Mewtwo?
I guess, yeah.
So yeah, 152.
Yeah, okay.
It's 151, but
yeah, 151 and then Mewtwo. Okay, so I was right. I was a little worried for a second, but yeah. So that first generation will ever be all my favorite Pokemon are in that generation. Like, it was a fun game to play. We'd link up with my brothers where we'd trade Pokemon and battle each other. And it was just so fun. And the fact that, like, it was this kind of one of the starting of this whole technology wave that we're in today, where, like, we had to attach a cord from one Game Boy Advance to the other Game Boy Advance in order to battle each other. And it was just crazy. No Wi-Fi syncing like we have now, but you just had to be close to each other with the cord and just game and playing it up and trash talking each other while you're beating the Pokemon, and it was just so fun. So that will be my number 1.
I didn't think about Pokemon. That's not my number 1 still. It's like a 6.
Yeah.
It's number 6, mainly because, like, of course I still love it and I'll still play it. It's just not something that I will actively go out and, because I don't have a new Nintendo console or anything, so I don't have a means of doing it right now. But I still always love it. I was also a collector of the trading card games, so it was something that I enjoyed too. But my number 1 is Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Yep. I saw that one coming.
Yeah. I play a lot of Counter-Strike. I used to be good. Not anymore. Yeah. I used to be a gold medal over 3, which is kind of high up there, sort of ish. It's not super high, but it's high enough. And like now I'm a silver 3. Yeah, but now that I'm in college, and then all my friends that play are actually older than me, so like 2 of them are in the military. One of them's
yeah. That would be funny commentary right there.
Oh, it is. It's
military people playing.
Oh, it's fun. Well,
just shooting game in general.
They're goofballs, so they they don't take it too seriously. But like, one's a firefighter, and another one's a senior in college this year, and he's just finishing up his degree. So like, they're all starting like their real lives pretty much, or they've all started their real lives, and I'm still in college. Like, hey, you want to play some Counter-Strike still? And while we still do play quite a lot, it's fun to like. It's fun to have that core group still, because we started playing back in, if I remember correctly, 2013 is when we started playing Counter-Strike together. No, I'm incorrect. 2012.
Oh, even more time.
Yeah.
That's
we first met each other in 2012, and then we started playing games right after that, probably about 8 or 9 months after that when I got my computer. Yeah. Well, we've been together for quite a while now. Shout out to you guys. I know
Hopefully they subscribe.
If
not, please subscribe.
Yeah, you will.
All this talking.
I'll make you guys. Yeah.
All this talking got me thirsty. Let's have some Red Bull. Red Bull is not a sponsor, but you could be. If you want to sponsor a brand new YouTube channel that is doing podcasts and gaming, I know you sponsor some gamers. Go for it, Red Bull. Shout out to Red Bull, free sponsorship. You can do it.
So, thank you, everyone. That was episode 1 of the SunRising podcast. Just a reminder that we will be back again tonight at sunset with the gaming video. Moving forward, we'll probably have a new episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, depending on how our schedules work. Ideally, that's what we want to do, but we're in college and we're both fairly active in our communities, so it'll be kind of hard. We'll do what we can do, but we will have at least 1 episode a week.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, definitely.
We're gonna get that done. So support us. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like and hit that notification bell if you're watching us on YouTube.
Yep.
You can also follow us on Twitter at SunRisingYT and follow us on Instagram at SunRisingYT as well. You can join our Discord where you can type.
We got a couple of things going. So we have like topic suggestions if you want. You can type in games that you want to see us play in there. We're gonna get that going. So feel free to join that. We'll have the link in the description, obviously, and then so. You can type in games you want to see us play. If you want to have us talk about something in a podcast, a specific topic you might be interested in, we'll leave that in there. That can be all in the topic suggestions. If you do our Discord, you also have the opportunity to potentially be in the call. We will take people. If you want to have something you want to rant about and talk about, you can leave that in the general messaging area. You can talk to us. We'll get in touch. If you genuinely have something you're passionate about and want to talk, we will listen. We are totally down to open up to everyone, let everyone have the chance to talk. We can get you on Discord and have your voice be in the video, and that's what we're kind of planning on using our Discord for, is that's where we're going to be recording our main show, and we can't be together. So there might be a couple episodes where you might not see our faces together in the same room, and there might be some that we might not just be able to do our faces if it doesn't work out, but when we can, we plan on being together. The Discord is where we're gonna run technically YouTube as a business, and if this booms, that's kind of part of where we're gonna run this. We'll probably be opening up, maybe if we get a chance, maybe a website if we can do that. And we're thinking Reddit maybe we can have a segment sometime in the future where we can do like a meme or something.
Yeah. Meme of the day.
Yeah.
That'd be great. It's like we're stealing from PewDiePie, but not really, because memes are free.
And if any of you want to make the Reddit, go for it. And that's awesome
that'd
too. Like, any social media, get our word out. Yeah.
So thank you. We hope everyone enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
See ya at sunset.